welcome to another week of Libertarians at Large. My name is Eric Rautzep, and this is where we discuss the week in news and express a libertarian point of view on the goings-on in our nation and abroad. We welcome your comments, your questions, all in the chat box, so feel free to comment regularly. We may share your comments on the air. This week, I'm joined with my fellow Libertarians at Large, Laura Ebke and Valerie Sarwick. How are you doing, ladies?
Hey, okay.
And, of course, this week we have a very special guest, Sam Robb from Pennsylvania, former presidential candidate. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. So what's going on in Pennsylvania? What you got going on? What's the news?
We were talking about this a little bit before things happened, that there was a lot going on today. And I pretty much missed all of it because I was taking my daughter to college.
That's a good reason. That is a good reason to miss it.
It actually it made me think a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times we fight and we protest and we get involved in legislative action and all this stuff these elections that we're doing, and it's easy to get wrapped up in that and think that that's the be all end all of what's going on. And forget what we're fighting for, which is to be able to take your girl to college and not have to worry about what's going on in the world out there.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit sobering. Aside from that, we've got I mentioned elections. We got I think somewhere like 115, 116 Libertarians on the ballot in Pennsylvania this election cycle. So we're kind of psyched about that.
That is really awesome. That is really awesome. So. What is everyone running for? I mean, I don't want you to go through all 115, but I mean, like, is there a general theme? Are you running a lot of sheriffs? Are you running a lot of city councilors? What's the general feel for a lot of the candidates that are running?
A lot of auditors.
Okay.
A lot of constables. A surprising number of mayors.
Okay.
So we've got at least 4 or 5 mayoral candidates that I know of. A lot of council. And some of these are molten maneuver seats. If you've heard us talking about that in Pennsylvania, a window where we can see what the Democrats and Republicans haven't put anybody up for. We have a chance to get somebody on the ballot uncontested. There's a number of those, I think 20 or 25, I think, that are contested seats. So these are libertarians that are going up against incumbents, and it's really kind of exciting to see the broad spread of the different people that we have going up for these offices.
Well, I mean, you're already proving, because this is the second time you're going through with the molten maneuver, correct?
Right.
So you've already had a baseline that says, hey, libertarian solutions work. Look at all of these people that are already elected and doing great things for government. We're cutting costs. We're cutting intrusion into our lives. Follow us. We now have proof in the pudding. So a lot of these contested races are probably going to have real successful results because you already in Pennsylvania have proof that it works. Libertarian solutions are the solutions that are for the long term.
Yep. One of the interesting things, I was on a committee meeting, county committee meeting just before this.
Welcome, Keith.
Hey, Keith. Oh, fantastic. That's awesome, Keith. We had, I was mentioning, we've got committees here in Western Pennsylvania that I'm the Western Vice Chair. We have committees where we have non-libertarian candidates showing up at meetings.
Oh, wow.
Because they see, holy cow, there's half a dozen libertarians on the ballot now.
Yeah.
And I'm running a contested race against this other opponent. There's no libertarian, so what do I have to do to get your votes? So that's kind of interesting to see that happen.
I mean, we've spoken about that with other people on the show, where you may not win a race, but you're winning for your community when that kind of thing happens, where they will change their policies to be more libertarian for the community at large, and that's still great.
Oh yeah, that I'm looking forward to that. I think we have a number, especially in the more rural counties of Pennsylvania, a number of legislators that are, they've got an R by their name, but when you talk to them, you really can't tell much of a difference between them and a libertarian. It's the party machine that they're plugged into, and giving them an option to let them say, "Hey, here's the libertarian solution that our constituents want. Let's push." I think it really helps. It helps us get things done.
Well, and electing people at the local level is where it's all at. If you want to do that, then you can build some credibility, and you prove that you're ready for the next level up. And I think that's really important. That's what the old parties have been doing that for years. And if we really want to make a difference, we've got to be willing to, kind of build the farm team and move our way up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's really important. I mean, the only way that we're going to build the brand is by proving it. So, what else is going on in Pennsylvania? We have the website pulled up here. I mean, there's a lot of red pegs on here.
We do have a lot going on. We have a lot of new counties coming online, getting affiliated. That's been a big push here in the West. It's been the East traditionally that's been much more better developed in terms of our affiliates. We've got the elections going, the candidates and the elections going on. We had sent out a mailing, I think around 50,000 postcards to people talking about, hey, this is, you're a libertarian. This is what it means in Pennsylvania. You need to get plugged into the party. You need to, get registered as a libertarian. You need to show up at the convention so you have a voice in what goes on. And that's honestly because we have, I'm going to mention Kevin Gaugen, who's our executive director. He's an absolutely incredible guy, and he deserves a ton of credit for the growth of the party here in Pennsylvania, the outreach that we've been doing, and he's really just been relentless in getting out there and getting in contact with people and getting them plugged into the party.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that sounds like you're really using the CRM, you're using the tools that you have, and you're making them work, and you're actually getting great results out of it.
Yeah, we're trying. We're doing our best.
Hey, it sounds like the engine's firing on all cylinders, which is really, really wonderful to hear.
So tell us a little bit about your Governor Wolf. I actually had a conversation with him. This sounds crazy, but and it was sort of not deliberate, but we had him on. It's been almost a year. Maybe it's been more than a year. One of our occupational licensing stuff at work, and he seemed like a really nice guy. On the surface, at least, he was on one of our webinars, and Pennsylvania's did some good early work on occupational licensing, and so we were trying to be with our organization. We were trying to be bipartisan, so we had him, and we had Governor Ducey down in Arizona, and then somebody else, Governor of Iowa, I guess, not coming up with their name, but we've had Governor Reynolds, that's who it was. And we had him on, and seemed like a really nice guy, although, you look at his record, and he's not, he's certainly no libertarian.
Yeah. That's, Wolf is, my wife consistently refers to him as Hair Wolf. So that gives me an idea of what she thinks of him, particularly over the last couple of years. I won't say that he is well loved in Pennsylvania at this point. But your comment about him seeming to be a nice guy, I think you kind of expect that from politicians. That's what you have to learn to do, is to be a nice guy to everybody out there. Because you never know who you're going to be talking to. Mm-hmm. But, one of the things that's interesting to me about that comment is that you tend to lose sight of the fact that people are people when you're interacting with them over politics. He's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got family, he's got friends. He's got his issues, and we differ with him a lot of ways, like you mentioned, philosophically, politically. and I think when you remember that, when you understand that, sometimes it can help you when you're going up against someone like this to argue, to understand their point of view, in a I guess an evil way, right? I want to understand it so that I can defeat it. But honestly, the way that he has been steering Pennsylvania has been not appealing to the general populace here. If he were up for re-election, I don't think that he would get it. And then I'm not really sure that his Lieutenant Governor, John Fetterman, is going to be seeking the Democratic nomination. And I am not sure that Fetterman is going to get it either. He is much the same stripe as Wolf politically and does not have the same charm that he does. So.
Wow.
That's interesting. But you raise a really good point, though, Sam, that, sometimes sometimes in American politics, we lose sight of the person. We lose we lose that basic humanity when we're fighting over issues and philosophy and all that sort of stuff. And it does help sometimes to at least remember that the person on the other side of the table is another human being and may have feelings, that are worth at least trying to consider.
I think every time I've got a short political career compared to you, Laura, to you, Valerie, you, Eric. But even in that time, I think pretty much every time that I have lost sight of that and treated someone as not another human being worthy of respect, I've paid for it. I've learned to regret it. So lessons learned. You go on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eric says Eric Thrain, is that his name? That Governor Wolf is one of the worst COVID tyrants, up there with Cuomo, Newsom, Whitmer, and Walz. Well, okay then.
I don't want to be argue. I wish I didn't have to argue that he doesn't belong. I can't. I think that's entirely correct. Yeah. He's been bad.
So there's a couple of interesting questions. Of course, we get a lot of questions about how would libertarians handle climate change. Mm-hmm. I know we've touched base on this in the past. Sam, do you have any ideas? I know we're throwing you under the bus here, but you ran for president, so I'm sure you had some line on this. Right. What's your take? I can go and pontificate on mine, but and I'm sure Laura and Valerie can as well. But what's your take on the libertarian solution for climate change?
Okay, how many of you guys hands up? How many like nuclear power? There we go. That's the step number one. Yep. Renewables are great. I've got a friend I'm probably going to be talking to about putting in some solar at our place, looking to be more self-sufficient. I think nuclear is where it's at. I know Jo Jorgensen was very big on nuclear. I loved listening to her talk about it. She got really ramped up, which was kind of exciting. It was really fun to have a fellow geek out there on the trail. There's some simple solutions. Deregulate nuclear, get more nuclear power out there. A lot of the scares that come along with the idea of nuclear power kind of evaporated. You look at new thorium salt reactors, you've got some really good technology out there for safe nuclear power, or I should say much safer. Right. But aside from that, the libertarian solution is that, and I'll say this up front, right? I tend to be a minarchist. I would like to be an anarchist, but I don't have that much faith in people. So I tend to be a minarchist and think, that we do need to have some sort of governmental organization, if only for oversight. I think you can argue possibly that having an EPA to oversee certain aspects of the environment might make sense, but it's something that would be much scaled back from what we have right now. In a large sense, we should have free market solutions and possibly have a small government agency making sure that those free market solutions aren't detrimental. Hey, our solution is that we dump all our waste over the Ohio border, right? Pennsylvania might think that's awesome. Ohio, not so much. That's why we have a federation of states so that they can say, hey, they're dumping your garbage in our state. So I think maybe there's some call for a stub sort of agency at the federal level. Possibly states might want to do that. That's a state by state decision, but largely leave it to the free market. When you develop clean sources of energy, people use it. Nobody likes to pollute. Nobody wants to be dumping garbage here and there. Especially in today's world, it used to be you could cover that up. You could, something that happened, halfway across the country. Oh my goodness, you won't hear about it for 4 months until it hits finally filters over here from the paper. Today's day and age, you hear about it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Flint, Michigan. How quickly people found out about what was going on up there with the water situation. Yeah. It's really hard to hide that sort of thing, and the potential benefit of not being a good actor goes way down.
There's one little sidebar. I'm going to take 30 seconds on it, and I do apologize, but there's one question that I've never seen come up in our feed before, and I kind of want to address it real quick. Coyote Wolfie or Wolf, do you guys know why the Taliban is keeping close ties with Al-Qaeda? Yes. I do. I used to be military intelligence. It has to go back. It goes back to the Soviet times. You have to remember the Taliban is predominantly a Pashtun sect of Islam, and most of the leaders of Al-Qaeda are also Pashtun, and they were really put together in the same bed during the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, and there was a lot of things. And also the United States, we put them together also through arms deals and all those wonderful things when we were trying to defeat the Soviets. So it's partially the Soviet fault, it's partially the United States fault, and there's a long history that puts them together. The names have changed, but the faces remain the same for a long time. And it's not going to change for a very long time to come, because we created those foundations, and so did the former Soviet Union. It's something that's embedded, and they work well together, and they complement each other. So, unfortunately, it's a product of our own creation.
Yeah, like every other problem.
Surprise! The U.S. government screwed up again. Yeah. Thank you for letting me to kind of run that one off to the side. There's another organization, Sam, that you wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. It's called Kill the Can, really interesting. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted. That's not the one. There we go. Oh my gosh, I did not need to make my face that big on the screen, so I do apologize to all of our viewers.
So Kill the Can is an organization I got involved with coming up on 5 years ago. It's basically I chewed tobacco for years. Basically, I shouldn't just say years, decades. About 30 years, starting back in high school when it was cool, and you ran track, so you didn't do the stupid thing, which was smoke, so you chewed tobacco instead. That really, after about 30 years, I realized that I didn't like what it was doing to me. And I could see that it was something that was an addiction. I was, if I didn't get my nicotine, I was not just grouchy. I was a bear. I would be snappy with my family, with my kids, my coworkers. So I reached the point where I realized I needed to quit. And just about that time, my wife sent me a link to Kill the Can and said, "Hey, I think you should take a look at this." So we've got all types of people there. It's a support group. You basically, it's a real simple concept. You log in every day and you post your promise. You say, "Hey, I don't care about tomorrow. I'm not going to use nicotine today." Yep. And that's, that fellowship, that brotherhood, that camaraderie, that support is what gets you through what is really almost literally hell for the first couple of weeks, because nicotine withdrawal is nasty. It tends to last. It takes a lot of effort to get through. Having people who've been there, done that, to walk you through it and say, yeah, I remember exactly how I feel like that. There was one time when I was coming home, I think it was about 2 weeks in, and I stopped at a stop sign, and I have no idea why, but that stop sign torqued me off. I rolled down the window and I screamed at the stop sign. I impugned its parentage. I said things about it that I deeply regret. Other stop signs out there, please don't. But that's what that kind of withdrawal does to you. And we've got all types there. I have about 200 people, I think 200 contacts in my phone. There's about 100 that I contact daily. I send out a daily joke to just say, hey, here's what's, hey, how you doing? Here's my day count. Here's a joke for you, a little something to make your day brighter, just to keep the lines open. That includes truck drivers, farm people who run farm equipment, cattle ranchers, nuclear engineers, military guys, school teachers, you name it. They're on there. Nicotine doesn't care. So, but the folks at Kill can do, and I owe them a huge amount of thanks for all the support I've gotten and all the changes that I've made in my life. That being able to quit nicotine made me realize, hey, if I can quit nicotine, then I can maybe apply the same discipline to other areas of my life. I can get a little more organized. I can get some more writing done. I've wanted to do that, and for the longest time managed to set up a schedule where I could do that. Wanted to lose some weight, did that. Wanted to run a marathon, didn't manage that. Got a half marathon.
Yet.
But, if you know me, that was a huge change in my life, and I'm eternally grateful to those guys for helping me make it.
That's awesome.
I take any chance I have to plug them, I definitely do.
That's
good
awesome.
work.
That's really great. So before the show, we were kind of talking about some of the things that were going on in the news today. Is there anything in the last week or so that you just kind of left with your head scratching, going like, I can't believe this?
I spend most of my time scratching my head. I don't know about you guys, but I spend so much time the last, I don't know, several months at least, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, I don't know, maybe 4 years, maybe it's been longer, I don't know. But I spend a lot of time just, I do a lot of head shaking, and just I almost feel like just digging a hole and staying here with my family, and not going any place and talking to anybody or watching the news, and actually I'm happier if I don't watch the news. I don't know about you guys, but
no, I'm addicted. If I don't have my news. So as many people know, I smoke cigarettes, and that is going to be something that I'm going to be giving up. But I'm probably even more addicted to the news. If I don't have some sort of contact to news, be it domestic, international, local, I'm constantly checking it. Alex looks at me and says, "What are you doing? You cannot be checking the news again. You just looked at it 15 seconds ago. Just stop."
It's called news because it's new.
I know, exactly. I have to be the first one who knows this. And, it's like, oh, it's horrible. It's really, really bad. Oh.
Now, if you look at my Google search based on like the last couple of weeks, the most recent thing that I've been Googling is like beachfront property. Where can I move to? Where can I immigrate? Where can American citizens buy property abroad?
Man.
So I can just never look at the TV or internet again.
Part of me wants to move to Ireland. It really does. I mean, becoming an Irish citizen is not that difficult. It's a beautiful country. I love the people. They're snarky as heck. They have my sense of humor. They really do.
Stephen asks a really good question. We got to address this. as one who
talking about our fantasies.
yeah, about private prisons.
Ah, yes. Would you allow private prisons to remain? Valerie, your husband has talked about this at great length, and did you kind of want to field this? Because I
Not
know
really.
okay.
I mean, because I think we both agree that for-profit prison is bad, and whether it's the government or private, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But if the government, then see, I'm a minarchist too, and should be expelled from the LNC for that.
Me too.
Once people get into a position where they're getting money to be in charge of other people, whether, in whatever, they become greedy. And maybe not greed is not the right word if you're running a company or something, but if you're treating a prison like a corporation, then you're not doing the best for the treatment of prisoners. And I think prisoners should be treated appropriately. And so I don't know. I think the government-run prisons are probably better for that because there's oversight. There's more oversight.
I think there's that. We talked about this a lot when I was when I chaired the Judiciary Committee in Nebraska, because we've got terrible prison overcrowding, and we had talked about this. And my attitude on private prisons is, if you're going to put somebody in prison in the name of the state, then this, because they've broken a state law, then the state ought to be responsible for seeing to it that their civil liberties are protected and that they are treated appropriately, and ought to be held accountable and not be able to shove that off on a private organization. So it is, it's problematic, but private prisons are bad things, I think. So we should just not imprison as many people.
Right. I totally agree. I absolutely 100% agree. The way I look at it is, for businesses to be successful, there needs to be commodity. And when you have the private prisons or privately owned prisons, the commodity becomes human beings. And we can't do that. That goes against the very fiber of what it is to be a libertarian, and not to impinge on the rights or the abilities of another human being. So for-profit prisons are something that can't exist.
And I want to jump in real quick, Eric. You comment about commodities. Sometimes you hear people say, "Well, that'll never happen." That actually happened here in Pennsylvania. You had judges who were sentencing people to private prisons, and those private prisons were giving kickbacks to the judges.
Yep.
So it's something that's already happened, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where, when I was saying greed, that's where I was coming in, and then I started getting into a point of like socialism, and I didn't want to go there. So that's where I was going with the greed thing. Like,
you look at what happened in Arizona. So the prison complex, or the prison corporation in Arizona has an agreement with the state that they have to maintain over 95% capacity. And Arizona is just shipping people off to the prisons. I mean, it's a meat market. That's really what it is. And it's disgusting, and things that should really just be a slap on the wrist, people are getting sent off to prison for, because there are mandates on how many people you have to send to prison, which doesn't make sense. You're ruining people's lives when maybe a fine would work actually even better. So yeah, this is
we could have a whole series on on the justice system and the failures of our criminal justice system. So yeah,
our criminal justice system needs a lot of reform, because there's been a lot of mistakes that have been made consistently over the existence of this United States, and they've just compounded with each other. So.
Well, what it really comes down to is, over the years, we've quit in prison. Well, we used to imprison people mostly because we were scared of them, right? You put people in prison because you're scared of them, because they're a danger to society. Now we've started putting people in prison because we're mad at them, because they aren't abiding by the norms of society. They're doing drugs, they're whatever. and those people don't need to be in prison. I mean, if they are violating some sort of civil standards, then hold them accountable that way. But don't throw them into prison, because in my observation, prison becomes boot camp for criminals. I mean, if it's boot camp for bad guys. You put somebody in prison for a drug sale or something like that, and they learn real fast how to be really bad guys. So,
Right.
Well, and the other aspect, and this is probably a conversation for another time, but lawmakers around the country love criminal law because it sells headlines.
Mm-hmm.
But we ignore civil law. So many of the things that are criminal law should be actually civil law or should not exist at all. But our lawmakers ignore civil law because it doesn't have the sexiness.
Yeah, it doesn't have the emotional feelings.
It's not Law and Order. I mean, that's
right.
And it's the whole Law and Order thing that gets votes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Your comment there, Laura. We have a candidate here running for mayor in Pittsburgh, a guy by the name of Tony Marino. Tony, I had a chance to talk to him a couple of times. He actually was running as a Democrat, got the nomination as a Republican. So interesting character.
Wow.
Went to talk to him. He's also a former police detective. He's got some very interesting insights and I'm not sure I agree with him on everything, but one of the things that he commented on was, he would time and time again, he'd bust somebody for something, for possession or some minor crime, go to prison, like Laura said, come out, and it wasn't even necessarily that, it was boot camp for criminals. Right, he came out and he'd be back doing the same thing or doing worse, and Tony bust him again and say, what's going on, man? What's up with this? He's like, I got a criminal record now. I can't get a job. I can't get a loan.
You run an apartment.
Car. Yeah, it's basically okay. Your life is over. You now have this track that you can be on.
Yep.
It's a horrible thing. You occasionally hear stories about people breaking out of that, but to put somebody intentionally on that track, like you said, out in Arizona, oh yeah, it's not your fault. Normally we'd let you go, but we need to have a certain number of convictions. So sorry, sure.
Well, and the other part of it is, stop and think about it. I don't know what it's like in other states, but we have a penitentiary, the basis of being penitent, right? That you're supposed to kind of, you're supposed to find your way, but it's the Department of Corrections. Okay, so how much are we actually correcting people, and helping correcting that bad behavior, and how much are we just almost reinforcing it by, prison's a bad place. I did a lot of prison visits while I was in the legislature, and man, prison is not a place that anybody wants to be. So if you put people there, you've got to expect that they're going to that they're not going to be very nice when they come out necessarily.
We should have Jason Spires on sometime.
Okay. I can definitely reach out.
He spent 23 years in jail for selling marijuana, and now is going to law school.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
But do you know what time?
Oh, it's way past time.
Way change.
It's time. Usually for the Washington Weekly News Quiz, but they haven't released theirs this week yet. So it's going back to our tried and true, the New York Times News Quiz.
Hey.
11 questions.
Eric always knows the answers. So.
No, I do not.
I know the answer to this one. We'll just jump right into it. Which major American city had the largest percentage increase in population between 2010 and 2020, making it the 5th largest city in the country? Phoenix.
Okay, I'll take that one because that's got to be a pretty large population increase. Do we all agree it's Phoenix?
Well, I'm sure it's not Chicago, and I don't think it's Milwaukee. So Phoenix
Milwaukee.
sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
Phoenix.
Yeah.
And
it would be Dallas or Phoenix in my mind.
Yeah.
Valerie was so excited to say Phoenix. I'm assuming she's right, and she is.
I was part of their decrease. I took
There you
or 5 people with me.
So Phoenix's population grew at a rate of 11.12%, the fastest rate among the nation's 10 largest cities. There's the clarifier: 10 largest cities. Gotcha. Because I was going to say, there's a city just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, that had a population increase of 526%.
What?
So I'm just saying, I don't know if it's the
One of
largest.
those little bedroom communities, that a little suburban community.
So it had a population of 500, and now it has a population 10 years later of approximately 15,000.
Wow.
Yep. And it's entirely due to Amazon.
Yeah. Thank you, free market.
Right. Question 2. The Taliban has gained ground in Afghanistan over the past week, taking control of at least 9 capital cities. Remember, this quiz is from last week. What is the response from the U.S. military? Accelerating the withdrawal to get all forces out by Sunday. Deploying small elite army units to guard key infrastructure, doubling the Navy's Predator drone presence over the country, ordering all U.S. troops still in the country to remain an additional 12 months, or preparing thousands of Marines for a possible evacuation of the embassy in Kabul.
Are we missing an option here? Because I think
nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Or go on vacation. Isn't that an option?
Well,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. But, hey, if you just prepare thousands of Marines for a possible evacuation, but not actually deploy them, that still is kind of doing nothing.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, that's exactly
okay.
what they did. Yeah, we prepared thousands of Marines for a possible evacuation of the embassy in Kabul, and we sent 150.
Oh my god.
Yeah, actually, I think now it's up to 1,000, but we had thousands of Marines who were standing on standby to go, and
Yikes.
Wow. Officials feared. So this is last week. Right? Officials fear the Afghan government could collapse within 30 days. Who would have known it would have taken less than 7?
7 days. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, that is within 30 days.
It is.
They are
technically. Yeah.
Oof.
One of my favorites. Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York announced his resignation this week. Who will succeed him? Names are in front of you, because I will slaughter probably every single one. We talked about her last week.
Is it the Stefanik? Kathy?
Must be Kathy, huh?
Yeah. See, I knew you guys were paying attention last week.
Totally.
Yeah.
Ooh, she looks nice.
Oh, she's a wolf. I mean, basically, that's Andrew Cuomo as a woman. It's scary. Yeah.
She's brutal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would be too.
Yeah. But amazingly enough, Cuomo never put his hands on her.
Would have drawn back a stump from the look of it. Which 4 Republicans listed below voted to pass President Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure bill in the Senate last week?
Well, I think
there's 4 right answers.
Lisa Murkowski.
I was going to say Murkowski, definitely.
Yep.
Mitch McConnell did, right?
I'm going to guess Portman and Grassley. I don't know that, but
I would agree with all 4 of those.
There you go.
Hey, right. Yeah. McCarthy and Cruz stood against it and were actually very vocal about not voting for it. So
My daughter watched something that McCarthy was saying one day, and she texted me and she says, "He's just an awful human being."
really,
I said, "Well, okay."
he's heartless. He really is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It really, yeah. A major UN report on climate change released this week said it was unequivocal that what had warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and land. What was the UN's report on climate change number one factor on, by far, that changed the climate of the world?
What would the UN say?
Yes, what would the UN say?
Human influence.
Yeah.
What is the truth? I don't know. Do your own research.
Well, I mean,
No, don't do your own research because nobody will agree then.
well, yeah, exactly.
Which YouTube channel are you going to watch?
You know, I mean, you have both Mars and Venus, which have gotten warmer by half a degree. So there's half the change right there. If we're smack dab between them, solar radiation and increased solar flares has increased both of their temperatures by half a degree. That's half of the temperature increase right there. Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors into this. I wouldn't say I would definitely say human influence is part of it, but I wouldn't say that it's the cause. But you know, hey,
Yeah.
And now
Right.
I'm going to be ostracized because
I mean, we were talking last week about how the temperature records, they would say like today's the hottest day since this date in 1850, and if it was this hot in 1850, you know, it's not. There's less humans there's less.
Doesn't this suggest some cycles? Yeah.
One of my
that's a cycle.
favorite things. I'm also a history nut. Okay, and I
Really?
love.
Really?
I know. Shocker. But if you understand or can stomach Old English mixed with French, read the Doomsday Book, which is basically England's first census since Roman times. One of the things that has always stood out to me is that England had a booming wine industry in approximately 1080 AD. Grapes don't grow in England today because it's too cold.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that if there was a booming wine industry in 1080 in England, the temperature in England must have been much hotter than it is today. Otherwise, the vines wouldn't survive, nor would they produce.
Right.
So logic would dictate in 1080, the global temperature was much higher than it is today, and the wine industry is only starting to come back to England now, and probably won't actually get up and running for another 20 to 30 years. So you make your own inferences from that.
Okay, so I was flipping through the channels. Well, not the channels, but the shows on Netflix the other night. There's one called 2012. Has anybody ever seen this?
No, I have not.
Okay, it's like the worst. I mean, it's not a great horror. It's sort of like a sci-fi horror, awful 2012. It's got. I mean, but the whole idea is that, well, you have to watch it. If you've got Netflix, watch it, because I'm not going to explain it all. But
2012, you say? Eh?
2012, and it's got John Cusack and I don't know who else in it.
Interesting. Okay, I will definitely have to check that out.
But it gave me bad dreams last night.
Oh.
Huh.
California fell off the face of the earth, and the poles shifted to like Wisconsin,
Yes.
and it was crazy.
Is that the one with the arcs?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
It is the arcs. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so again, you have to remember, this is last week. Which California wildfire became the second largest in the state's history, causing much of the smoke in the image above? The Antelope Fire, the Dixie Fire, the McFarland Fire, the Monument Fire, or the Taramark Fire?
I don't know.
Well, Eric
Dixie
says it's
Fire.
the Dixie Fire.
Are we saying the Dixie Fire?
I think we should. Yeah, I think we should
Oh,
say the Dixie Fire.
Now, the Dixie Fire, since last week, it did become the largest fire. It is now, I think, 40% contained, but the most rapid growing fire currently in California is now the Caldor Fire. So, yeah, there's that.
Oh
So,
my gosh, so many fires.
oh
So
my
sad.
God. Well, I mean, California, Oregon, Washington, and Canada are all on fire with different fires.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
A few weeks ago, we had smoke from the fires here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, in the morning here in North Carolina, you walk out the front door, you can smell smoke early in the morning when there's fog.
Hmm.
The fog will smell like smoke, and that's all because of California.
Yeah, I don't get up
In
before
North
9.
Carolina? Wow.
Yeah. It's the freakiest thing.
Okay, Michelle says that the movie's good. It was okay. It was a good enough movie. It was one of those. It was good and bad at the same time, sort of. See, Sam agrees. You've seen it, right?
You're not giving it a good.
I'll
you're
have
not
to check
giving
it
a good
out.
endorsement here.
It was no Hawk the Slayer, but it was up
Yeah.
there.
So we talked about this last week too.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
After months of guest hosts, Jeopardy has announced who will replace Alex Trebek. Who did the show choose? Select all that apply.
Wasn't it?
Mayim Bialik and Mike Richards.
Yeah.
And apparently everybody hates Mike Richards. That's what I saw on the internet today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
I mean, I know that he got selected. I don't have a clue on who he is, but yeah.
Yeah.
This is Mike Richards, though. If anyone
Oh well,
wonders.
I would hate to. Just kidding. I don't know him.
He looks like he's on Saturday Night Live. Okay, never
He
mind.
looks like a character, but
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
never heard of this guy.
Right.
They should have picked LeVar.
Yes.
Yep.
LeVar Burton would be amazing, but okay.
Mhm.
Too late. So sad. This week, the 3 U.S. states with the most new coronavirus cases per capita were all located in the same region of the country. Which region? Midwest, New England, Pacific Northwest, Southeast, or Southwest?
Southeast.
Is that what everyone's saying?
That's my guess. Florida is like number 1.
Mhm.
It's Southeast.
And Mississippi, and yeah.
Yeah.
Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida are.
Yeah, not looking too good. Look at how nice Nebraska looks.
Nebraska's doing awesome.
Yeah.
Because we're not reporting.
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, they're just like, nope, we're not even going to tell you.
Yeah, they're not reporting, but the hospitals are getting around it. The hospital, the individual health systems are like sending out, well, we've got this many people in the ICU, or we're stopping all of our elective surgeries. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but even like Northern California, Oregon, there's a lot of hotspots out there.
Yeah.
And if you listen to our news, you would think that we're about to fall off the cliff,
Right.
know? But we're nowhere near as bad as other places. But.
I suspect that Nebraska, if we were reporting, if you roll back that, you see a few counties that are reporting.
Yeah.
I suspect that if we were reporting, we would be looking very much like, I don't know, Missouri and Arkansas right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's per capita.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is going back to the Olympics. Which countries finished first, second, and third, respectively, in the overall medal count in the Tokyo Olympics? Was it China, U.S., Australia, China, U.S., France, U.S., China, Germany, U.S., China, or the Russian Olympic Committee?
I think it's the last one.
I would agree with you.
I remember China was saying it's okay that we have less. We're in second place because we have more gold medals, and then the United States went ahead of them, and then they were trying to figure out like how to keep the communist China people happy.
Yeah. And it didn't happen until
The last second.
yeah, it was the last day.
Yeah.
Closing ceremonies was hours away, and the United States picked up like 3 extra golds,
Yeah.
and it put them at the head. I mean, it was a nail biter. By the way, U.S. Olympic team, most Olympic medals in anything or in every games over history. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, the United States has more medals than any other country, period. Any way you look at it. The Argentine soccer star Lionel Messi has been with the FC Barcelona since joining the academy as a 13-year-old. But after parting ways with the team, he announced this week that he would be joining which club?
No idea. I feel like you watch soccer.
Soccer, man. Sorry. We don't have it in Pittsburgh.
The only reason I know this is because I had a conversation about this with one of my friends in Holland. It's Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, wow.
Only reason I know that, and he was astounded when I didn't know it. I'm like, I don't watch. I watch the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I get glued to a television for 10 days. But other than that, I don't watch sports at all. Even the Super Bowl, it's a hit or miss thing. So, yeah, but Paris Saint-Germain.
Good job.
Last question. Experts warned about the potential ill effects of participating in which recent TikTok trend? Dancing on train tracks, eating frozen honey, jumping between 2 trampolines, setting off fireworks indoors, or taking selfies with bears. I hope it's taking selfies with bears.
It may be. I saw some pictures of that.
Warning over that. It's
Oh my God, one of these is real.
Yeah, I know.
That really hurts me. That hurts right here. That it could be.
Oh my gosh, Michelle said bear
Please don't take
selfies.
selfies with bears.
Where are you finding bears? 2 people have said bear selfies.
I have no idea.
I lived in Colorado and I've never seen a bear.
Right. And we've got dancing on train tracks too. I hope they're right, because if they had to issue a warning with taking selfies with
Please
bears,
don't take selfies with bears.
I saw something though just recently with people taking selfies with bears. I'm almost sure I did. And
Where are all these bears?
I'm sorry.
yeah, like in Yellowstone or someplace.
Oh, okay.
Here's what worries me, Eric, is somebody's going to see this, answer this, say, taking selfies with bears, huh? I guess setting off fireworks indoors is okay then.
I know.
They warned me about that.
I know. It's perfectly okay to set off fireworks indoors.
While jumping between 2 trampolines.
Oh, let's start combining them. Yeah. Oh, let's put the trampolines on either side of the train tracks.
And eat frozen honey.
I'm eating frozen honey. Oh.
Now the sad thing is that if it's eating frozen honey is the thing that they're warning us about.
Yeah, right. Is that bad? I have to Google
That's
that one.
the most mild on this list, so I would not be surprised if that's actually the answer.
I don't know.
Because I'm hoping they're thinking that, okay, nobody is stupid enough to actually do everything else on this.
Oh my God.
But eating frozen honey, I don't know. Maybe it makes your hair fall out or something. I agree. Frozen honey sounds awesome. I remember I put bit of honey in the freezer when I was a kid. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I really don't eat bit of honey any longer because, well, I don't go trick-or-treating, and that's, I think, the only way that you can internationally get bit of honey. But, you know.
I don't know.
Bear selfies.
Bear selfies, just out of sheer hope.
No.
No,
Frozen honey.
Frozen honey. You're right. Oh my God. It's eating frozen honey. First popularized by the TikToker Dave Ramirez, who called it pretty refreshing. However, health experts say that it may come with consequences like stomach diarrhea. Oh.
Okay. Hey, honey, bears are back on the table.
I know, right? Oh.
What do you guys have that honey in those bear containers?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You can take a selfie of a frozen honey container.
That's right.
There you go. That are with. Then it's fine. Then
That's
it's
right.
perfectly okay.
Well,
So
that's
we're in
above
the
our
top
recent
4%
average. That's
of
good.
New York Times readers because we got 10 out of 11 correct.
Oh, and it kept our old score. Nice.
Yeah, it still remembers.
And you know what? We managed to stay wholesome tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Very
still
important.
have 4 minutes. We still have 4 minutes.
Very important.
No.
Yes, we do.
So we've got 4 minutes to go. Any last comments? Anything that we've got going on in the last week that we want to plug? Rob, Sam, anything that you want to plug that's coming up in the next week?
Oh, wow.
Or beyond?
Next week, well, we've got actually, Valerie. I think I'm going to see you and Nick at Liz Terwilliger's. Oh man, why is that escaping me? What's the name of that?
Perspectives of Freedom.
Perspectives on Freedom. That's in Williamsport next month, and that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Liz is a congressional candidate here in Pennsylvania. She's putting this on. We're going to have Tasha and that guy she hangs out with. They're going to be there.
Her husband? You're gonna have Tasha's husband there?
We're going to have Tasha's husband.
Nice.
I'm actually really looking forward to that because even with all the stuff that I did with the Joe Jorgensen campaign, especially here in Pennsylvania, a couple of times I think we actually got within like 150 miles of each other, but never actually had a chance to meet. So I'm looking forward to meeting him. So we got that coming on. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, tickets are still available for that. I believe it's the weekend of September 18th.
Laura, anything you've got going on in the next week or 2 weeks?
No, we've got the big 50th anniversary thing coming up in a couple weeks, right? Just over a week.
Yeah, but week and a half.
Week and a half, yeah.
So
I'm
that's
actually going to be this time next week. Wait, it is next week, isn't it?
It's
next Friday.
A week from today, I'll be in the air while that's, oh my gosh.
So we're not doing this next week. Or are we?
I'm going to say yes, because actually that was going to be the final thing I was going to say.
Oh.
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
So yeah, 50th anniversary party next week. Valerie, anything you've got going on in the next?
Personally, no. The following week after that is the LNC meeting in Louisville, Kentucky, and there is an LNC LP fundraiser on the Friday night. I believe it's at the Brown Hotel in downtown Louisville. The tickets are still available for that.
Very cool. A couple of things I want to talk about real quick. Oh, nope, wrong. There we go. I keep hitting the wrong button. The theme contest for Reno 2022 is still going on. Make sure you get your votes in. Vote with your dollars. Go to lnc2022.com/theme contest. Get in there. Get the votes going. Make sure your choice for what our theme in Reno is going to be is the top choice. Vote big, vote often, vote now. Next, really big thing, next week, we have been on the air for 1 year. We have been doing this show for 12 months, 52 weeks.
Wow.
Next week, Dan Fishman's coming back. We're going to have a whole bunch of fun. And we're gonna figure out how to do this because I think I'm gonna be in the air while the show is going on. So maybe we will be broadcasting from 30,000 feet. I don't know. We're gonna figure this out, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. So definitely tune in next week. We've got a lot of great stuff going on.
Thanks.
And on that note, have a good night, have a great week, and keep watching the news. And we'll talk about how to make it libertarian next week. Have a great night, everyone.
Right. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, guys.